The clusters interface in QDS allows you to view the different types of compute clusters available along with their configuration. From the QDS homepage, click the drop-down menu and select Clusters. This is where you can see a list of available clusters. Note how they're grouped as active, inactive, and transitioning. The current state of the cluster is indicated by the colored circle at the left of each cluster row. Green indicates the cluster is up and running, orange indicates the cluster is starting, and red indicates the cluster is offline. Clusters are identified by labels. Labels are unique, and no two clusters can have the same label. These labels are used to direct commands entered into QDS to specific clusters for execution. Here's where you can see when the cluster was last modified, including the modifier's email ID and a timestamp of when the modification occurred. The next column shows the cluster usage information for the last 30 days. Click the Resources drop-down to view the cluster's usage and Cluster Start Logs page. The Start button here allows you to start the cluster. Check the ellipses to view the additional actions available to you. You can use the search field to look up a cluster. You can also use the filter function to filter the clusters by status and cluster type. This is helpful when there is a long list displayed on this page. The clusters drop-down list on the top provides you with a quick access of the clusters available to you. You can start the clusters from here as well. Clicking the cluster ID takes you to the cluster's dashboard. This dashboard provides you with a granular view of cluster activity and governance settings, such as Qubole Compute Unit, QCU, nodes, logs, and auto-scaling metadata. On the side panel, you see a list of functionalities available to you. The Overview tab is open by default. This tab contains a collection of tile cards displaying cluster activity. The Cluster Instances tab contains the snapshot of a cluster from the time it is started to the time it is terminated. The left panel shows you a list of instances. Select an instance to view the details like usage, activity, nodes, etc. Use the Filter function to filter the cluster instance by instance ID, date, and status. The Settings tab contains the history of the edits made to the cluster configuration. The Node Bootstrap tab contains the file path and the Bootstrap scripts. Lastly, the Usage tab contains the QCU consumption of the cluster. It displays the monthly and daily breakup of the QCU of the selected cluster.